Where did the coronavirus come from? Is it a natural or a man-made virus? What is the timeline? Was there a cover-up by the Chinese government? What is the prognosis for the future of the world? I will now put my perspective on these matters. First, however, please help this channel by giving this video a like. Every like will help the YouTube algorithm. Thank you in anticipation. As Donald Trump says, the virus is a Chinese virus, and no, that is not being racist. It is stating a fact. The virus was probably a naturally occurring event. In the wet or live markets of China, there is a total and unnaturally close proximity of live animals, particularly bats, who are known to be carriers of some of the worst of the viruses. I understand that is because they hang upside down, and from naturally occurring events such as urine and feces, they infect themselves. These viruses jump from one species to another, mutate, and that is the start of the chain of events. So the virus is probably naturally occurring and not manufactured by man as a weapon. There has also been a comment in the media that if the Chinese authorities had acted only 3 weeks quicker than they did, then there would have been a 95% reduction in the spread of the virus, so saving the world from the financially calamitous situation we are now experiencing. From my understanding, the first case was recognized in Wuhan in China on the 10th of December 2019 and was linked to the wet markets on the 16th of December. The doctors who found it told officials on the 27th of December. This is when the Chinese authorities began the cover-up. Remember, China is a one-party state, effectively a dictatorship, and nothing bad can be reported upon. On the 30th of December, the doctors who were advising of the virus on Chinese social media got themselves severely reprimanded for doing so. On the 1st of January, Wuhan authorities criticized even more doctors for spreading what they wanted to label as false news. Testing for the virus was stopped, and samples already tested were destroyed. Then, during the period of the 11th to the 17th of January, there were reported no new cases in Wuhan. Yeah, right. But the authorities were too late in their controls. The virus had escaped with an infectious person travelling to Thailand, and on the 15th of January, an infected person travelled to the US. Also, the Lunar New Year celebrations were allowed to continue, with mass gatherings and the highly likely transmission of the virus in the crowds. 2 days after these celebrations, Wuhan was put into lockdown, but by then it was far too late. Particularly as some 5 million people had left the area without being screened before it was closed down. As with Chernobyl, the cover-up was far worse than the event. If the Chinese authorities had come clean very early in the event, then the worldwide catastrophe that is now occurring may have been drastically reduced. We are being told by our government that the only way to control this extremely contagious virus is to shut New Zealand down, thereby limiting the opportunities for the spread of the disease. Just a quick mathematical calculation. If one person infects 2 people, who each infect 2, and multiply this 10 times, the number infected is over 1,000. Therefore, the spread must be contained. Accordingly, we have been put into lockdown, and nearly everybody has been told to stay home and self-isolate. This will have the very serious effect of virtually shutting down the New Zealand economy. I, for one, being involved in a tourist venture, have lost my job, but hopefully only on a temporary basis. In Singapore, a state that has the virus under control, they did not go that far. What they did do was test, and even more testing. Thereby, they were able to isolate those people who had the virus, even though they were not showing any symptoms. Also, they were able to trace any contacts and test them as well. Anybody with the virus was immediately isolated, and if you had had contact, even if not infected, you were to self-isolate. The whole economy was not shut down, as is the virtual case in New Zealand. Singapore has to all intents overcome the effects of the virus. New Zealand did not act fast enough in implementing the restrictions needed, such as closing the borders, and has not started to test anywhere near as much as is really required. Therefore, we now have the need to close down the country, and this will have enormous financial implications. Once again, in my opinion, the PM has not shown the leadership she needs to. She has, in my opinion, used the crisis to further her aims of gaining worldwide attention in her attempts to access the United Nations and promote worldwide socialism. There has been a shutdown of large portions of the world's economies in an attempt to limit, if not eradicate, the virus. The industry that I am involved in, tourism, has been shut down with the closing of borders and the severe reduction of international flights. Governments throughout the world are currently borrowing heavily in attempts to support their economies and so prevent a total shutdown. The money borrowed today, however, must be paid back tomorrow, and that is going to have an enormous effect on all economies. Yes, in New Zealand we have the capacity with a low net debt at present, but that is about to change. Has the government taken into account the major reduction in the tax take this year, with businesses not being profitable? We will see. Will we be able to overcome these measures? Only if we are very strict and don't waste money on ideologies. Will the current Labour-led government be strong enough to resist the calls for increased benefits and the like? I, for one, don't believe they will, and you can be certain that significant tax increases are on the way. Maybe even a recall of the failed capital gains tax that was recently dropped is likely. The call for increased tax will be sold as being necessary for the repayment of the debts incurred to overcome the virus. It will be used, however, to further the policies of increased benefits to buy votes for the left. Let me remind you of recent increases in benefits over the board, and these not being limited to the time frame of the crisis. Stay calm, stay alert, stay safe, and enjoy your enforced holiday, and look forward to a baby boom early next year. Well, that is the end of this video. If you would like to comment, both positive and negative, feel free, as it is good to have a two-way conversation. Remember to hit the like button, as that will help YouTube algorithms. Any comments you wish to make may give me ideas for future commentary. Please share this video with your friends and family. If you wish to subscribe, then push the relevant buttons, including the little bell. Then you will find out when I upload a new video. Just use the appropriate buttons. Thanks for watching Captain Cookie's commentary, and we will see you next time.